Hello everybody, how you doing? It's wee Paddy from across the shuck. And you're very welcome. It's early morning here. I can't sleep. It's been, what time is it now? It is just after 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got up out of bed. I can't sleep. Do you ever just have a couple of those days that just don't go the way you want to? And wee Sally hasn't been too well, and I've been a bit of let me think of a right word. I don't like to swear on my channel, but maybe not been as understanding as you'd have, and paths got crossed, and just a couple of days like that, and it just wasn't great. But we're friends now anyway. But I just couldn't sleep there. So I've got up and I thought I'll make a wee video because it's the one thing that I know that'll just chill me out and make me feel good again. So this knife here is a collector knives edition. And this has bumped up the list again, and there's a little story behind it, and I'm going to tell a wee bit of it. I'm not going to go into it too much, but this knife was bought to me by my podcast patrons, which is a podcast I do every Monday night. And if you want to find out what it's about, just go back and watch one on the Monday night. I'll tell you all about it. But the patrons bought this knife, and we bought it, and the knives that we buy, we do tasks with. So what's this knife going to be doing? This knife's challenge is going to be to build a hobo shelter, which is made up of reeds or willow or anything like that, that's down in the woods, and it's going to light a wee fire, it's going to do shavings, just simple little tasks, but make this hobo shelter, because a hobo shelter doesn't use any string or paracord. It's all done by natural materials, nettles, whatever you want to tie it up with, and it's just forced into the ground by sharpening the edge of the willow and then poking them into the ground and tying them up. So that's what this knife has to do, and that's how we're going to test it, which I think is just a bit different than the normal test. Testing's becoming I find it a bit of a chore sometimes, so it's just nice to break that. Look, it all has to be done, and I don't mind doing it for the channel, but this is going to be a little bit different. So this little knife is going to be used for that. Is this a knife for that? No, you should be using a bushcraft knife. But don't forget, the day I do that, it's going to be an apocalyptic day. The end of the world is coming, and I need to get undercover. So this will be the only knife I'll have in my pocket that day to save myself from nuclear fallout. I can get underneath a wee shelter. So I need help, honestly. Mentally, I'm not good. But that's what's good. That's what this knife's going to be used for. The other thing I'm going to do with it is this weekend I'm going to do a video sharpening it with my Lansky system, which is what my patrons over on the podcast voted for. They voted whether they wanted hand sharpening or the Lansky system. So the Lansky system won. I will do that this weekend and post it up probably Sunday night or something. So there you go. There's the background to why this knife is being done now. This knife costs about $120 to $130 from Collector Knives, and I believe he still has some left. I got this one on the secondary market, which meant that I was able to get it a wee bit cheap. Well, it's not that much dear. Well, it's not that much cheaper than what you pay for it in the States, but I didn't have to get delivery and then customs, so it saved the wee Patreon group a couple of quid. So that was good. So, what is it? It's a slip joint. It's a modern slip joint. It is, look at that blade, that Warncliffe blade on that. But it's a swayback jack, basically. That's what it is. It's a modern swayback jack with M390 blade. Absolutely great, which is why I want to check it out, that it's going to work all right. There's a story about Mike Latham, but that's in one of the previous videos. If you want to go back, you can watch them. Anyway, it's my micarta handles, and it's the linen micarta, so you feel them. Although it's not over grippy, but there is a beautiful warmth to it that you get with micarta. Titanium bolsters and screws that can be taken apart and cleaned. Now, it's quite difficult to take it fully apart. I've watched a video of somebody trying to do that. I wouldn't do that unless it was absolutely necessary. I don't see the need to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. But as for a shape of a knife, it fits all 4 fingers in my hand. I have a medium-large hand, and you could have a bigger hand and still have room. but it fits beautifully in my hand, and I believe will be a great little work knife. It is literally a slip joint with a half stop, but oh man, I can't tell you how beautiful. Well, you can see how beautiful it looks, and the micarta on it is just gorgeous. And it's so the fit and finish this knife. Let's just start at the blade. Look at that blade shape. You have a beautiful big swedge coming all the way down, both sides of it. It just it's on completely clear on this side, and you just have, if I take you up here, you will see, there you are, collectorized edition, and it's called the Viper, which is just a beautiful, it's an old knife, there was an old traditional knife called the Viper. I think GEC made it, and this is the take on it. And then what have you got here? M390 steel. Do you need M390 steel in a pocket knife? Probably not, but it's nice to have it. And I'm hoping that length of use-wise, when I'm down making the shelter, I'll not have to sharpen it. I'll take a sharpening system with me, because I'm going to use it for wood and things like that I wouldn't normally use a penknife for, unless it's going to do a bit of whittling or something. But titanium bolsters, screws down here, so you can change the scales if you have other knives in this variety. You have a lanyard holder back off it, but the fit and finish is beautiful. Now, it's not like a GEC knife, or I'll show you a traditional knife. There's a difference between a traditional knife and a modern traditional. These are custom fitted basically by tradesmen to get 4 bits of metal side by side to be completely smooth and no gaps. This is all rounded over, so it doesn't need to be that precise, and it's easier to manufacture and mass production scale. And that's what these are coming out in, that sort of the larger amounts. So what length is it? I hear you say to me, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5 inches long, and it has a cutting edge of just over 2.5 inches, which is absolutely fine for everyday use. And it's absolutely fine for any use. And with an M390 blade steel, it really is just perfect. Now, I just want to give you another knife that's quite similar in size, especially blade length. This is the Ferrum Forge Gent. So this is a small knife that you would use for EDC. Much as this has a much better blade. This is a D2 blade steel, M390. So anything this can do, so can this. Trust me, anything that can do, so can this. Now, let's see what weight she is sitting at, because she weighs very light. I can feel that. Now, let's just see. Can you see that there? We're in grams. So it is, very light, 61 grams. And let's take that down to ounces, 2.1 ounces. So, I mean, again, you've got the titanium, you have micarta. It's just so beautifully made. It just looks lovely rounded spine all the way up to the swedge. Isn't that just stunning? There we are. There's no way you're going to get your finger in, or it stops a lot of dirt. Because this just sits in my pocket, with the micarta, I don't feel the need to put this in a slip when I'm carrying it. I just throw it into my pocket. Because to me, this is definitely a work knife. This is not a knife that's going to sit about and be like, whereas I would take more care of this, because there's lovely delicate bone and bolsters on both ends. So, but this isn't. This is just a micarta knife. It feels good. It just wants to be used. It gives me that just buzz when I open it up, and I hear well, I should shut up when I'm doing that, shouldn't I? The walk and talk in this, it's not like a traditional knife, but it is good nonetheless. It is good nonetheless. It's solid. It feels as if it could do work. I can't tell you how good it is in the hand this way. Most swaybacks have a bit more of a rise up at the back here, and they can make this grip not particularly comfortable because they're built to be turned this way. The swayback is built to go into your hand so that when you're doing pull cuts, it's more comfortable. But this is absolutely beautiful. You can do your pull cuts lovely, but equally you can turn around this way and do your normal cuts. So there, and I'll get to try the pull cuts when I'm doing pointed ends and things like that, when I'm making the shelter, which is going to be a couple of weeks away. So the weather is horrendous here, so that's why it's going to be a couple of weeks away. Now, what else can I tell you about this knife? Well, I'll give you some comparisons to knife that's out there. I mean, this, again, 130 is quite expensive, but not for what you're getting. Not for what you're getting. Let me just focus that in. There we go. Here's another knife that's got that same blade shape, that sway back handle. You can see that as a wee bit more swooped. This is the Rough Rider, and this is the Workman, which is, let me see, the blade length is a little bit longer, a fraction longer. The handle's a little bit longer, but this is about $20. I think it's less than $20. It's a bit dearer over here, but I mean, my goodness, what can you get for that price? You can get that. That is beautiful. Now, it's got 440A, which is absolutely fine as a steel, but it's not M390. The fit and finish is not as good as this, but that's all right. It's blooming good. Here's another knife, and this is sort of hopping into the... This would be probably a bit there. This is a Shatton Morgan. It's not a sway back, but it has that beautiful... I was going to say sheep's foot, Warncliffe blade on it. Beautiful knife like that. A little bit shorter. This would be your posh carry, if you like. For me, this is a posh carry. This is beautiful. It'll go on a slip, and it'll be taken out to cut finer things in life. Not bits of wood, not you know, doing shavings for a fire. This is just a little pen knife for me. It's just beauty in a box. This is a Workman, much like this is. This is a working tool. This is for anybody who wants a knife that can take out and do a half-decent bit of work with a half-decent looking knife. And for buttons, can't recommend that enough. But this, to me, is the modern day. This is the future of probably a lot of pocket knives. I'm hoping, you know, that we're keeping these alive by making these, I think, you know what I mean? Because an awful lot of the youngsters don't want bone. They're not that interested. But when you get a knife like this, it brings you into the hobby. And, it, you know, hopefully, I'm hoping it's going to spread, that they'll want to get the traditional knives. This is just modern, isn't it? I mean, to me, it's just modern. It feels nothing like this. These are very, very tactile, very... they give me a warmth. This is functional, but yet it's an attractive looking knife. It's a small knife. And not only, I mean, I'm in a country where we need small knives. You know, it's got to be under 3-inch blade, non-locking. This is perfect. This is perfect because it's a good enough blade steel that will do anything I'll ever want it to do. It's big enough to do anything I'll ever want to do in a day's work. Do you know what I mean? Or a day about the house or the caravan, because I don't work very hard. So, I mean, could I recommend this? Oh, heavens above, yes. This is a knife that's really well made in Italy by Viper. Collector Knives is a great place to go and buy your knives. Mike Latham, who I've spoke to recently, so I'm not talking out of turn. He replied to a comment on the channel. He was gracious. His explanation of... if you go back to it was a podcast on modern traditionals, and read his reply to the channel. It was just factual about a man in work and how he goes about getting modern traditionals made and whatever, and the reason behind them, and the reason behind blade steels and things like that. It warmed me, it really was. So, which is why we went out as part of the podcast on my suggestion to get something from him, because he had taken the time to do that, and that means an awful lot to me. So there you go. Go and see Mike, see what he's got, but he has other modern traditionals, you know, that are not this shape that I've had before, and his knives are impeccable, and he stands over them. So Don't worry, that's the main thing, that somebody stands over their knives. You're always going to get a wee blip every now and then. Everybody does, but he doesn't get very many because they're just very, very well made. And he inspects and makes sure he gets what he wants from the companies that he uses, especially the Italians. So there you go. The Viper, the collector knives Viper. That's it. I'm going to go off now. Over the next couple of weeks, well, you'll see this weekend me sharpening this with the... It didn't come particularly sharp, but I didn't buy this new. You'll see this being sharpened with a Lansky, and then in a couple of weeks' time, once the weather dries up here, you'll see it building a hobo shelter, which is just a shelter that the homeless can use when they don't have any of our modern day stuff like paracord. So there you go. Take care. Thank you very much. Paddy's away. Bye-bye. Cup of tea time.